Jaya Vishnupada Paramhamsa Paragacharya Stotta Shatta Shri Srimati Divine Grace Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavarinda Ki Narayam Namaskritya Naram Charanartanam Devim Saraswati Visyam Tato Yam Udiyati Nashtataye Sabhutishnam Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our means of conquest, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naran Rishi, the supreme most human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irreversible fact. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Fifth canto. Why is there a second canto? I need the fifth canto, sorry. Oh, Tasminapi kalam pratiksha manaha sangachcha vrisham udvigna atma saharacharan shukha parnatrina vidhruda vatramano mrikatva nimitva vatsanam eva ganyanam mriga sarimam tirthodakha klinmam utsasarya. Let's go directly to the word by word translation. Tasmin api, in that ashrama, meaning the Pulaha ashrama. Kalam, which actually means time, but here the end of the duration of life in the dear body.
The end of the duration of life in the dear body.
Pratiksha manaha, always waiting for. Sangat, from association. Cha, and Brisham, constantly. Udvigna, full of anxiety. Atma Sahacharaha, having the super soul as the only constant companion. And in parenthesis, no one should think of being alone. Shukha Parna Trina Virudha, by eating only the dry leaves and herbs. Vratamana, existing. Mirgatva Nimitta, of the cause of a deer's body. Avasanam, the end. Eva, only. Ganayam, considering. Mriga Shariram, the body of a deer. Tirtha Udaka Klinam, bathing in the water of the holy place. Utsasarya, gave up. Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Remaining in that ashrama, the great King Bharata Maharaja was now very careful not to fall victim of bad association. Without disclosing his past to anyone, he remained in that ashrama and ate dry leaves only. He was not exactly alone, for he had the association of the super soul. In this way, he waited for death in the body of a deer. Bathing in that holy place, he finally gave up that body. Repeat after me. Remaining in that ashrama, the great King Bharata Maharaj was now very careful not to fall victim to bad association.
Remaining in that ashrama, the great King Bharata Maharaja was now very careful not to fall victim to bad association. We have to repeat also.
Without disclosing his past to anyone, he remained in that ashrama and ate dry leaves only. He was not exactly alone, for he had the association of the super soul. In this way, he waited for death in the body of a deer. Bathing in that holy place, he finally gave up that body. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Holy places like Vrindavana, Hardwar, Prayaga, Jagannath Puri are especially meant for the execution of devotional service. Vrindavana specifically is the most exalted and preferred holy place for Vaishnava devotees of Lord Krishna who are aspiring to return back to Godhead, the Vaikuntha planets. There are many devotees in Vrindavana who regularly bathe in the Yamuna, and this cleanses all the contamination of the material world. By constantly chanting and hearing the holy names and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, one certainly becomes purified and becomes a fit candidate for liberation. However, if one purposefully falls victim to sense gratification, he has to be punished, at least for one lifetime, like Bharata Maharaj. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnana Shalakshaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhustam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadaramayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabhadra Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagachatam Sahagana Bhagavatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prajara Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Charischa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Maneshte Tatta Kanchana Gorangi Radhavina Veshwari Subhanu Sudetevi Pranamani Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarupya Sa Sri Vishnu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Isn't it wonderful how we can read together the Srimad Bhagavatam every day? By doing so, do this wonderful devotional service that will bring us back home to Godhead. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter unto his lotus feet? O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. And I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees. And they are full of compassion for the fallen soul. Especially with this last prayer to the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, I want to express my gratitude to all of you that we can have this association. And it is also one of the devotional services to be in association. And it is said the devotees, the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees. Maybe we never really thought, what is actually a desire tree? Well, it is described that desire trees are in the spiritual world, and they are illuminated from within. Like in the spiritual world, everything is illuminated from within. We don't need lamps at the ceiling giving light, because the floor is radiating light. We as devotees are radiating light. Everything is giving light. So also the trees are giving light. They are shining and illuminating everything around them. And then there are special trees in the spiritual world. And when we visit these special trees and come before them, and we have a desire from the heart, a real deep wish, and we offer this wish to the tree gives us, fulfills us this desire by giving it on the bottom of his foot. So can you associate this image by something that we celebrate every Christmas? Like, isn't it that we have all this tree that is shining, and then we approach, and then the child, and if he finds what he desired as a gift, put on the bottom of that tree? So you can see that even this tradition comes from the Vedas, and is an old Vedic tradition. It has nothing to do with Christianity as such, as we all know. But it is not pagan either. It has its roots in the Vedas. And today I will go more into some very, very astonishing story in Switzerland that has its roots in the Vedas. But before going there, I would like to finish off this chapter here, because it's the end of this chapter, and we see that this wonderful Bharata Maharaj, who was so elevated, he fell down due to attachment of a young deer. I mean, how amazing! You have a kingdom as big as the whole world, and as I said in my last lecture, it's not just Russia, Putin land, or United States, Trump land. It's the whole world. It's Bharata Varsa, which is still the name of this earth, named after this unbelievable king, Bharata Maharaj. And he gives it all up. Somebody can open the door. He gives it all up, and he gives up his family, he gives up his relatives, and then he falls in love with a deer. And it seems so unbelievable, but it's like this quality of the Vaishnava, that he is full of compassion for all the fallen souls. Due to that compassion, he falls down. And he becomes then gradually so absorbed in thinking of that deer that he slackens with his devotional service. He forgets about it even, and he is then completely oblivious of his mystic yoga practice. Today we will also hear of a mystic yoga practice. Yes, we should take the translation. And it is so wonderful to know that there are mystic yoga practitioners all over the world. There is one mystic yoga practitioner in Switzerland who is our national saint. It's Niklaus von Flüe. he lived about 500 years ago, where Gauranga also lived. And I'm going to talk about him later. But there is all over. You take the Silk Road and go all the way to Beijing and Shanghai, and on the way to Tashkent and Almaty and all these places where the Silk Road passed. There are many graves of Sufis who are known as highly, highly elevated mystics. So this is a special gift that we actually all would have, but we forgot about God. And this way we are instructed by how we can re-establish ourselves in the platform of love of Godhead. So Mahabharata, he, as this great king who the earth was named after him, he falls down by loving a deer, by completely being absorbed, by completely being crazy. Where is my deer? My deer will be killed by a lion. He will be eaten by some shackles. Where is it? I have to protect it. And he falls down and he dies. And while thinking of this, he naturally, says the Srimad Bhagavatam, takes birth in the womb of a deer. But because he was such an elevated soul, a Krishna devotee never perishes. A Krishna devotee is never vanquished. All devotional service that we do is never lost. He never forgot about his past activities, and he then carefully tried to remember all his past activities of devotional service in the body of a deer, and he was only eating dry leaves. Can you imagine a deer doing tapasya? I mean, we have such difficulties as we break Kalashi today to do tapasya just on grains for a day, twice a month. It's such a big thing to us, isn't it? And Maharaj Bharata, he was in the body of a deer, and he remembered that he should do some tapasya, and he was only eating dry leaves. So that for a deer must be very, very hard. Just imagine, I mean, I'm looking at cows, for instance. We have so many cows in Switzerland. They always go where the grass is greenest, isn't it? They never go where the grass is dry, isn't it? So just imagine a deer. He will be more so-called sense gratification oriented. But what is also written in the starting here, that he finally ended his fruitive activities in the form of a deer. Now, I really didn't know that an animal would do fruitive activities, but apparently it is so. So basically, doing the four basic things we do in life, like eating, sleeping, mating, and defense, isn't it? Those four things. Bhakti Sergei. Oh, he's reading something else. Anyway, the four things that every animal does is called fruitive activities. So, Maharaj Bharat stopped doing those things and left his body and went back on the spiritual platform. So isn't this the most wonderful, wonderful thing? And we have also heard this morning in the Nectar of Devotion how we can perform the nine devotional activities, and who is like exemplary in performing those activities. It was read today There are concrete examples of how a devotee discharged one of these services and achieved perfection. King Parikshit achieved the desired goal of life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? It just was there assembling all the sages, and then, the snake had bitten him, and he was going to die in 1 week, and then, or 7 days, and then what he spent the rest of his time was, he was listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. So he achieved this goal by hearing. Sukadev Goswami achieved the desired goal of life simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj became successful in his devotional service by always remembering the Lord. Lakshmi, what did Lakshmi do? Who knows? The goddess of fortune was successful by engaging herself in.
She was massaging the feet of Vishnu.
She was massaging the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. King Prithu became successful by worshipping in the temple. Akrura, what did he do? He was offering prayers. Hanuman, what did Hanuman do?
He was a servant of Lord Rama.
He was the servant of Lord Rama, so he was following orders and achieved perfection. Bali Maharaj, what did Bali Maharaj do? Who remembers the story of Bali Maharaj?
He
Yes.
offered his head and everything he owns to the incarnation of Krishna.
Yes, exactly. Sorry? Bali Maharaj was also a big king, and Krishna appeared to him as a dwarf incarnation. He asked him only 3 things, and he said, "Okay, I want land only where I can step three. I can step three times. I can step 3 times. This will be my land." So he looked at the dwarf and he said, "Well, he cannot take much land. Let him do it." But then he took the whole universe, isn't it? So Bali Maharaj lost his whole universe. But seeing that it was Lord Krishna, he offered everything and offered his head, right? So by offering everything to Krishna, we can achieve perfection. And Srila Prabhupada is so wonderful, and he was so enthusiastic when he finished translating the Nectar of Devotion. And I want to read a little bit from what he said in an interview. So, we have published our Nectar of Devotion. So every one of you should read this Nectar of Devotion repeatedly. The whole substance of Vaishnava philosophy and activities, everything is there. So every one of you read this Nectar of Devotion once, twice, 3 times, unless you have got full-fledged ideas. What is this devotional service? Continue reading. And he explains that actually it was spoken by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami. 10 days he continually instructed Rupa Goswami. And he explained it for this, and then Rupa Goswami wrote it all down and placed the book in the form of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Was it not?
If you speak inside, then it sounds kind of nice. If you it's down, it's
Can we have the head mic next time?
Okay, just speak
Such a
inside.
pity. But Hare Krishna, thank you for telling. Thank you very much. So let me just resume, because I lost a little bit the train of thought here. So Prabhupada was very proud of saying that he now offered us the Nectar of Devotion, and that you should read it once, twice, 3 times, until we really got the ideas, what is devotional service, and that this Nectar of Devotion was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya himself to Rupa Goswami, who has written it down as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. he actually compiled it into half of the size, and in English it was in Sanskrit in about 1,000 pages. So he says the whole substance is creamed, and you should take advantage of this. Don't indulge much into unnecessary talks. Time should be very properly utilized. Value of time is so great that one moment of your life lost, it cannot be returned even in exchange of millions of dollars. Therefore, every moment should be properly utilized. Aviryata kalatam. That is utilized every little moment. And when one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, this becomes his business to see, am I wasting my time? Or is it the sign that I'm avyatra kalatam? Then also he says there are symptoms of the advanced devotee. There is some ruchi, attachment, some taste for the holy name, and he's always chanting. There is attraction for the temple, for living in the temple. He cannot leave. He's so attached to the temple that he cannot leave. He has to be with devotees. This is the Vancha Kalpat Rupesa Kripa Rupe Vacha Patitanam Palani Vaishnavi Manama. You have the Sadhu Sangha. You don't want to leave because you have this attraction and attachment for the living temple. And there is one big symptom. If the devotional service is executed nicely, then is anartha nivritti syat. Anartha? What is anartha?
Наше материальное желание.
Who can translate for me?
Material wishes.
No, it's not good what we have. Our bad matter. Плохие качества, как перевести?
Что?
Плохие качества.
Bad qualities.
Bad
Bad
quality.
Unwanted qualities. Unwanted qualities, yeah.
Exactly.
Which are not
Anarthas.
beneficial for us.
Anartha is the bad qualities. Like those basically who go against the four regulative principles, which are, was it?
Eating, alcohol, gambling, illicit sex.
Thank you. Yes, this is the meat eating and the intoxication, the illicit sex and the gambling. So this is linked to these four nonsense habits Prabhupada calls. They disappear. Nivritti. They disappear. That is symptom. Anartha nivritti syat. And they automatically go away. It's not even an effort. You're not attracted to it. You don't want it anymore. That is a symptom. You don't even think about it anymore. It's just you're free of those things, of those bad qualities. So this is all taught in the nectar of devotion, and we should really profit from this. Take the ruchi, develop this taste for the holy name. Tatakshiksa, tata sakiti. He cannot leave. He has to stay in the temple. He doesn't waste time. Avyakta kalatvam. And then he comes on the platform of ecstasy. What is this called, the platform of ecstasy? Nishtha.
Samadhi.
No, ecstasy, it's bhava level.
Bhava level. Very nice. Thank you,
What do you
Mataji.
mean bhava?
Bhava level. Very nice. Yes, thank you for translating also. So we come to this level of bhava. This is the ultimate goal, of course. And this is the gift Prabhupada gave us with this with this wonderful nectar of devotion that we get in these 9 processes. The 3 most important of these 9 processes are
Shravanam, Kirtanam,
Sevanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Sevanam. Am I
Sevanam.
right? So Shravanam means hearing. Kirtanam, chanting. Sevanam,
Vishnu.
Triti Smaranam.
Triti Smaranam.
Triti Smaranam, yes. Shravanam, Kirtanam,
It's not the
Smaranam.
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 Smaranam means
Remembering.
Remembering
of
the Lord.
the Lord.
remembering.
Yeah. Smaranam
So
comes.
Sevanam is one of the other
Yeah.
9. Smaranam. Sorry for this mistake, I have to correct it. And I also want to go one last time to this most exalting topic, that this nectar of devotion and this Srimad Bhagavatam process and all this process that has been given to us is obviously also a part of how this world was created by Krishna and how it is working. And that this very special discovery I think I have made, that this quantum physics and this homeopathy, similar, is actually also somehow working there, and we can maybe understand a little bit on how this healing process works for us, and to go back to the spiritual world. Because in the homeopathy, you have a person who is healthy, and you give him a medicine and he develops symptoms, bad symptoms, but you give the exact same medicine to the person who is sick with these symptoms, and he becomes healthy again. So similar suffering, homeopathy. And this is described also in the Upanishads as one of the 3 pillars, besides the other one, suppressing symptoms, which is modern medicine, and then healing with spirit. It has been summarized by Hippocrates 500 years before Christ in these 3 pillars. And Chaitanya gives us this medicine of the symptoms of the heavenly beings. You can always hear everywhere in all the scriptures that there are angels singing the names, glorifying the name of the Lord. They come from the spiritual realm down to this material realm where we exist, and those inhabitants, then suddenly the skies open and they hear these heavenly beings glorifying the name of the Lord and singing the name of the Lord. So it seems to be a symptom of the healthy person in the spiritual world, and it has been given to us as the medicine in the material world to practice and to chant the holy names of the Lord, which are, chant with me, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this way we become healthy again, and we go back to the spiritual world. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai Gaurikai Ki Jai. So let me now go to the last part of my lecture, which is about the Swiss mystic called Niklaus von Flüe, Niklaus of Flüe. And let me announce that my Guru Maharaj Bhakti Raghava Swami is coming in the week of 16th of March to 24th of March, visiting Zurich Temple. And because last time there was kind of day off and of some inspiration, we went to visit the monastery of Einsiedeln, which is about 1 hour away from here. And Maharaj liked it so much, he liked the books in the library. They were very, very old books, 1,000 years old. And there is also the Black Madonna, the only deity I'm aware of in the Christian, in the Catholic tradition, which actually changes clothes, like we do it on the altar every day. They do it like every month or so, change the clothes of the deity. I've never seen, even in the Vatican, a deity that would be changing clothes. So Maharaj liked it so much that I suggested to him that we go see another library, and the library is in St. Gallen. St. Gallen is also 1 hour from Zurich, and it is a UNESCO library, United Nations Cultural Heritage Site. And there will be 20 devotees allowed to go with the group. The guide is sponsored, but the devotees who come, they will still have to pay the entrance to this 3 features. The cathedral is open, but the library, the UNESCO library, and the cellar where 1,400 years of spiritual history is documented, with 16 francs. Now, if this group of 25 participants is full, there can be another group, but it will be more expensive because we would have to organize an extra guide. And we will just register those who want to come by the time they actually sign up. And you send a WhatsApp to my number. It's on this pamphlet, if you're interested, to go visit with Guru Maharaj, the library, the wonderful books in St. Gallen. Then on the Thursday, 20th of March, we will go to see the mystic Hermitage in central Switzerland, which is about 1 hour from here. You can see everything. It's about 1 hour from Zurich. It's a small country. There, Niklas from Flu, we will go walk down. It's about 70 meters in height down, so that makes 25-story building. A 25-story building walk down to the Hermitage where he lived, and we can see how he slept on a wooden plank and had his pillow as a stone. He lived there for 19 years, and he did not eat and he did not drink. He was the greatest mystic of his time. And he had this vision of Gauranga, of which I want to read a little bit from Armin Risi's book that he has published. Armin Risi is a famous Swiss author. He's a devotee of Krishna, and he lived a very long time in the Zurich temple, but then also went to India and studied there more in the Vaishnava tradition. He was a monk for a very long time, and now he has written many books that you also have in display in the shop in this temple. Armin Risi. His spiritual name is Atma Tattva. So Atma Tattva, Armin Risi, will give a presentation in Florian himself, and he will elaborate on all these very interesting details of the Gauranga vision that Niklas von Fleur had. And I think this is very, very exciting. And Armin Risi says, well, this is all known for more than 20 years, that he brought it all together and said, oh, actually, Niklas von Fleur, he saw Gauranga and Nityananda. That was the vision that nobody can explain. Because he has described it clearly, Niklas von Fleur, but nobody understood, it cannot be Jesus. It it's impossible that it's Jesus, so he must have seen somebody else from spiritual realm. Who is it? And Arvind could clearly identify it is Gauranga and Nityananda that he saw. And this is, according to Arvind Rizi, a historical excursion. Never ever a Vaishnava group with a guru of ISKCON has gone to visit the hermitage of Niklas von Fleur. So you are also invited to come there. There is much more room. We will have this presentation of Armin Rizi in the restaurant Fleur Matte. It's also written clearly on this pamphlet. And there is 60 persons maximum who can go into that restaurant. So that is the limitation. So please also send me a WhatsApp if you want to join on the 20th of March and accompany Maharaj to go visit the Hermitage of Niklas von Fleur. So for this topic, it is nice to read a little bit of what Armin Rizi said. Niklas von Fleur, his surname is Brother Klaus. I think you have in Bulgaria, there is also a brother, a special mystic. What is his name again?
Peter Donov.
Peter Donov. And he's also painted on a wall, isn't it?
He had a vision of the rasa dance.
Of who?
Of Krishna dancing with the gopis.
Of Krishna dancing with the gopis. Yes, yes. I saw his painting on a wall on a building in Bulgaria, in Sofia, I think. Was it in Sofia?
Could be, yeah.
Yes,
I've never been there, but I've heard. And yeah, he's like more recent. He's 100 years ago.
It's 100 years ago. Yes, yes. It's not so old. So apparently, you see, these mystics are able to actually have these visions of Gauranga, Nityananda, of Krishna in the Western countries. Isn't that astonishing? I mean, isn't that amazing? And that is what we are going to explore in the canton of Obwalden near Lucerne, where Niklas von Fleur had his hermitage. Now, Armin Rizi writes, Niklas of Fleur, Brother Klaus, that is his surname if you want. The Pilgrim Vision is called this vision because he had about 7 visions, and this here is called the Pilgrim Vision. So the vision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu is called the Pilgrim Vision. The global significance of the Yuga Avatar, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the Yuga Avatar, called Gora. What does Gora mean? What does Gora mean? The golden one. Oh, okay. The golden one. Implies that he was also perceived by seers in the Western Hemisphere. This was indeed the case as we know now. That's the result of his research. Nostradamus. Who has heard of Nostradamus? You have heard of Nostradamus? Excellent. Guru Rishta has heard of Nostradamus. Who else has heard of Nostradamus?
I don't know much, but
Dr. Philip, yes.
I've heard his
Also Shakti Charan, very nice. Saki Charan, I'm so sorry, has also heard of Nostradamus. So Nostradamus, in the year 1503 to 1566, has perceived Gauranga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his clairvoyance, and described him and his future global impact in his 2 most important positive prophecies. So Nostradamus has given a lot of negative prophecies, but he has given many positive prophecies. And one of the 2 most positive prophecies was the prophecies about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Niklaus of Flue, 1417 to 1487, who is now the national saint of Switzerland and one of the peace saints of the world, has had a mystical vision. He received the supremely blissful blessing of seeing and meeting Gora, as well as Nitai, Gauranga's co-avatar. So the life of Nicholas von Flue is very well documented. He lived one generation before Gora and died 1 year after Gora. He was a farmer, he had 10 children, he was a respected member of the regional council, and at the age of 50, he left his family, he started the peregrination, he went to Basel, and then he turned back. So he never left today's Switzerland. So he soon returned due to signs from outside and within, and settled as the hermit in the gorge, like valley near his home. You will see it is a very, very small gorge, and it is actually just half an hour walk from his home. Later on it became clear why it was important that he stayed in his homeland. His wisdom and practical counseling were essential for maintaining peace in the country. At one point, he saved the core country of young Switzerland from starting a war amongst themselves. So, now coming to the visions. Oh, he lived there 19 years without eating. Some sources also say that he didn't even drink. There are miracle happens a lot, and these miracles continued also after his death. Now, Niklaus von Flue had several visions. One of the 12 main visions was the pilgrim vision, or also called the vision of the singing pilgrim, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always singing, isn't it? He's always singing. So, interesting enough, the vision is particularly conspicuous as it contains several exotic elements. You have to just imagine now, 500 years ago, in the forest of central Switzerland, you know, you live with cows, really in a kind of varnashrama dharma. It's a very simple lifestyle. You have only whatever grows there, and you have nothing else. And of course, you cannot see silk, for instance. And of course, you have never seen a person with brown skin. Of course, you have never heard another language than just Swiss German. So, he had this vision while he was thinking about leaving his wife and his children, and this encouraged him to actually leave them and take sannyas. It was absolutely decisive for the vocation of Nicolas, writes Abbé Bernard Chouillère, who is a priest of the French-speaking part of Switzerland and the researcher into the life and mysticism of Buddha Klaus. In his book Les Visions de Nicolas de Flue, cette vision décisive pour la vocation de Nicolas. The pilgrim vision is puzzling, maybe even irritating to some Christians. That is interesting. It is irritating to some Christians because it is not Jesus that appears. It's not Jesus. The description clearly shows it cannot be Jesus. Niklaus was deeply impressed by this vision, and he described it repeatedly. There is no contradiction between this person and Jesus, he says. There is no contradiction between the teachings and Jesus, he says also. And he says the complexion of his body was brown, the material of the clothes was so fine and translucent or transparent, so we must deduce it was silk. No, there was no silk in central Switzerland at that time. Not possible. So the pilgrim addresses Niklaus von Flue by saying, Hallelujah, probably said Haribol, but it's the same meaning, right? It's the Bengali language expression. And then the pilgrim began to sing, so unique, so full of love and intensity, that the entire cosmos sang along in resonance, and everything in heaven and earth supported his voice. In this divine sound, Nicholas heard three perfect words. I'm not going into the words. The pilgrim wore a hat, now Nicholas describes, with a particular form, stacked up and flat back. So maybe he meant a turban? Because Nicholas has never seen a turban, of course. And then the pilgrim transformed himself and appeared without the hat, but with particular clothes. And Nicholas von Fleur writes, he doesn't write, he tells it, and his grandson finally writes it. His arms and legs shone through the clothes he wore. So they were shining. His body is shining through the clothes. And the material was finer than anything Nicholas knew. The heavenly beauty was one of his particular characters. He was so beautiful, Niklaus said that he could not stop beholding him with great joy and longing. Then the vision is transforming. It goes into, first it was this wanderer, and then the clothes become blue of color, and then the clothes become gold of color. And there's such splendor and beauty in both these transformations. And there's a particular ornament on the golden clothes, and we can see the particular ornament on the golden clothes. And then he became again the initial wanderer. He bowed down towards Nikolaus. Lord Chaitanya bowed down towards Nikolaus, and he gave him his mercy, and he was overflowed by divine love. So Nikolaus writes, I have experienced such great love that there is no longer desire for anything else. He revealed to me everything that was in heaven and on earth. So now we can recognize all these things, how we can identify the singing pilgrim. He comes from the east, where the sun rises. He has this brown complexion. He has this effulgence and beauty. He's wearing silk clothes in blue and golden color. He has ecstatic singing, and he's filled with overflowing love. All these are perfect characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Golden Avatar. So we are going to hear more about this wonderful vision of Nicholas von Fleur, if you want to join us on the 20th of March on this excursion to Switzerland. Is there anything from your side to add or to question about this? We're a little bit over time. No questions?
Там Нострадамус сказал, а ну, надо же позвать, она приведет.
Nostradamus said,
Да, он сказал, что Европа пуста
Europe is empty
и бороздят океаны, ну, неба просторов мировых держав Корея, Россия и Китай.
Сейчас, минуту. Sure. So Russia and China and какая еще страна? Korea.
Не понял.
Какие страны еще?
Корея, Китай и Россия.
Korea, China and Russia, they lead.
Да, но он еще ж, это его предсказание, видение, но он же еще не знает, что были харинамы, они все меняют, харинамы, они все поменяют.
It was prophecy?
Prophecy
Prophecy of Nostradamus, but at that time, of course, he didn't know that there would be Harinamas all around the world.
Да, то, что предсказания, они есть, но они могут быть уже, ну типа, Харинама это все меняет.
Yeah, he made prophecy, but this Sankirtana Yagya and Harinamas, they can change everything. They can change the karma of the earth, actually. Yeah, they can change the karma of the earth.
Thank you very much. Yes, that is a very nice addition to this. And yes, Krishna can change the life of devotees. Actually, I heard that even the lines in the hand is changed by the devotees. Krishna changes the lines, the actual lines, and you read what will your life be. Krishna can actually change that. So it's wonderful. So of course Krishna changes also the
Что там линии, автобусы меняют.
the whole world. Yes. I didn't hear that, but it's probably okay. Anything else? No? Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. All verses and devotees. All verses and devotees. All verses and devotees. All verses to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ivan.
Jaya Rama Prabhu ki Jai.
Thank you.
Если мы так туда не поняли, значит не надо было. Ну, я думал, уже чакать,
Нет, я как-то не оставил задачу.
Потому что они паузу не делают, когда он говорит, что можно переводить, а когда он зачитывал, уже сложнее переводить, потому что
Горничка. Просад.
Не, хочу помыть там
Hare Krishna.
Translating so nicely, that's such a
Not super nicely, but
because they all understand, you know. It's really nice.
thank you for the story. Thank you for the story about this Christian. Yeah. Also, when I before I started practicing Krishna consciousness, I started attending first one Christian church in Moscow. I lived in Moscow at that time, and there was one very famous saint lady saint in Russia. She Saint Elizabeth, and she was the sister of Alexandra, which was the wife of the last Russian monarch. Yes, Alexandra. And they were this family was from the sister. Yes, Elizabeth became a saint. Yeah, and they were. It was a big family, and they were actually from Germany, but their father was some Graf, like high, and the mother was the granddaughter of Queen Victoria. So they were like half German, half British. Yeah, very high position. And then Alexandra married the Russian monarch. Yes, so and they both moved to Russia, Alexandra and Elizabeth. And at that time, and they were like Catholics originally. I don't know, but then when they moved to Russia, they liked so much Orthodox Christianity, and they became Orthodox followers, and they were very religious, like Queen and the monarchy, very religious. Yes, pious and religious. But and then it was Blood Revolution in 1917. It was Bloody Revolution, and when the lower class was against the upper class, and they just, I think maybe it's not who wanted to kill him. We threw them to that big hole. And they were just, what is this? No one can survive. No one. It's because it's so, yes. And sometimes no one can survive, but they are still alive and they're singing their prayers, recent prayers. And all of them, it was three men, they became insane. They became crazy. It was a punishment, immediate punishment from God. And they also died, they got crazy. Yes, and then later, this
New match. Okay.
I mean, you know that it is ready. You don't need introduction.
But I want to know the story of Chaitanya.
Okay, let's.
And you tell me what you will say.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.